All right, geology students, as we wrap up this MAPS unit, I'm going to introduce you to one last little piece of, more of a historical piece of how we might go about locating a random point, specifically within the United States. And I will say that this system is a bit antiquated and a bit old. It's called the rectangular survey system of locating points, but it's since been replaced by things like GPS and satellites and cell phones and things like that. But it is a cool way of doing things, very simple to use and kind of very similar to latitude and longitude. I will say this, though, that within Texas and a couple of other states, it actually is not used. So when you pull up USGS maps of Texas, like the one for Irving, or any other local area, you're not going to see this system in use on those maps. But if you pull up maps in other states, you will definitely see what I'm about to show you. And it's a system of kind of a grid system. So I'm going to just scroll down and show you how they came up with it first. And I drew a very square, this is going to be a state, and we're going to call this Wyoming because Wyoming looks basically just like this. It's exaggeratedly perfect, and that's okay. So what they do is they actually slap a grid over the state, and they try to kind of center it as best they can. I happen to have it be a little bit too perfect, but that's kind of the way it would look. So in the middle here, that's perfectly centered and there's perfect boxes. Now in the real world, that's not going to be the way it works out, especially in states like Idaho that look like a big finger. They have to shift things around a little bit, and they do the best they can with getting a point that makes sense to be in the middle. But for simple states like this, what they did, and I'm going to use green here, we're going to draw a line that goes all the way across, and that is called the baseline. And that would be like the equator if we were looking at the whole Earth. But you have to remember, this is just for a single state. So each state did their own kind of thing, and they found their own baseline, their own little mini equator. And they did the same with the one that goes up and down or north to south. And that is called the principal meridian. So I'm going to write that up here, principal, very messy. Okay, so once they do that, now we've got all these little boxes in here, but I'm not going to go right to each individual box just yet. What I'm going to do is highlight something, and I'm going to pick, let's go with like a purple color here. So this right here, this whole area, that would be on Earth, that would be like an area between a certain number of degrees of latitude. What they call that, though, in the rectangular survey system, this is called a township. Township. And then in a different color, let's go with maybe like a orange. And let's go with a bigger, fatter highlighter here. So this right here, it would be like the area between two lines of longitude. And that would be called a range. So that's called a range. So if you kind of look at this, each different area, like, so if I go outside this purple zone here, and I'm going to try to find a different color again here. Let's use like another green color. If we go in here, this is a different township. Okay, so this green one would be a different township. So, and I'm very much simplifying this. It's not exactly the way it really works, but we would call, let's go with, I'll just use black on this. This would be called Township 1 North. Why is it north? Well, it's up above by one notch, that baseline that we established. So that would be Township 1 North. So what they do, instead of saying the word township, they put just the capital T and 1N. So that's T1N. This would be T2N, T3N, and so on and so forth. And again, these are much smaller in real states. I'm just doing this to exaggerate and show you. Now, what if you go down below the baseline? This would be Township 1 I'm trying to make that a 1 so you see it. And that is south now. So it's south of the baseline. So this would be T2S, T3S, and so on and so on, and however many you would have. So the same thing happens on our ranges. So I kind of messed up that by not highlighting. I'm going to highlight. So this range right here is left of the principal meridian by 1 notch. So that would be, so again, instead of writing the whole word range, it would be R1. And now you have to make a decision. Is this east or west? Well, in a compass rose, that looks like this. This is north, south, west, and east. So this is west of our principal meridian. So this would be R1W. So I'm going to actually erase that and write R1W. This would be R2W. And this one would be R3W. And I mean these vertical kind of columns almost on our little grid here. Okay, so that is how we kind of number them and separate them out. And similarly, I'm going to erase these guys right here. So immediately, and it's kind of hard to do this electronically as you're seeing, and it's very messy. So if I write sideways, this would be R1W, and this over on the right-hand side of the principal meridian, this would be R1E for east, R2 east, and so on. So you kind of get the drift of how that's set up. And so within all of these township range, now I'm going to start talking about the little boxes. And each individual box happens to be a perfect 36 square miles. So that's where the rest of this handout kind of helps us out here. This is the same thing that I just tried to sort of draw for you. They show you the baseline and the principal meridian, and then they show you these townships and ranges, and they label them for you. So what they're going to do, they're going to actually do this for me. They're going to take a specific box. I'm going to outline that in red. So this would be the box. They're going to take that and they're going to blow that up for you. And so what you're going to notice though is that each of these boxes is a perfect 36 square miles, which means if you remember your math from probably like 7th or 8th grade, this is 6 miles on one side and 6 miles on the other. So to get the area, you just multiply 6 times 6, you get 36. So that's why you're going to see 36 different boxes in the diagram above, which we're about to look into pretty extensively. So that is within a certain township and a certain range. So they're going to call this township, where I just drew it, actually, this is township 2 north. And then if we continue the range writing, the range descriptions I was writing, R2W. So this box that I just have, that 6 by 6 mile box, that would be township 2 north and range 2W. So that's the box that is looking at right there. So I'm going to leave this picture forever here. We're not probably going to come back to it. And if you look up here, that red box that they kind of highlighted for us, well, where is it? Well, it's in township 5 north. And it looks, now this is where I'm going to talk a little bit about how weird this is. You notice how there's like a jagged pattern here on some of these range lines. It doesn't go just straight up and down like we would like to do. And that is because we live on a curved planet Earth. So if you actually look at latitude and longitude lines, and I think I mentioned this in one of the other videos, longitude lines actually converge on each other. So as you get closer to the North Pole, they actually, the longitude lines like this, they actually get closer together. So they don't do that within the state. They just shift the box a little bit rather than make curved lines. All these lines are still pretty much straight, but they just they give it that jagged little appearance to kind of accommodate for that curvature of the Earth that actually happens. So that is really above and beyond what you need to worry about. But this red box is in this range right there. So this would be range 6 east. Okay, so there it is. That is a 36 square mile little box in a state that we don't know, but It's based on that kind of that grid system that we laid out in a few minutes ago. So what we're going to do is we're going to they're going to blow this up. This is going to be now way bigger. And they take that 36 square mile section and they break it down into, or that township range, and they break it down into these little mini boxes. And these are each 1 mile each. So each little box right here is 1 mile by 1 mile, 1 mile by 1 mile, 1 mile by 1 mile, and so on and so forth. So here's the thing. These now are given numbers. So on this, you don't see any numbers except the townships and ranges. Once you get it broken down, now we're zooming in almost. Now you can see here's your 6 miles by 6 miles again. And we are going to call these little mini boxes, I guess, we're going to call these sections. So that's called a section right there. And they're numbered, so they just get a number. So that would be section 1 of township 5N, range 6E. Okay. So the numbering scheme that you see, that is intentional. It seems a bit weird and maybe even a little bit non-intuitive. So it starts in the upper right with, so again, we're talking about this box, this little red box right there. They start numbering from the upper right and they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then they shift down 1, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Why did they start in the upper right? I don't know. But if they didn't, it just means that this would go 36, 35, 34, 33, 32, 31 at the bottom. I think they just wanted it to end at the highest number on the bottom right. I'm not really too sure why they did that, but it works no matter what. So this is a repeated pattern of numbers. So if you look at the way that's done, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 36, if I were to go to a different box up here, so if I were to go to this one, for example, which would be township 4N, T4N, and then R, well, what would that be? R4E, R4E. That would still have the exact same set of numbers. So 1 would be up in the upper right, section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it would end at 36 in the lower right. Okay, so that is a pattern and that helps us. And there's going to be some questions in the practice that kind of ask you to think outside the box, literally, where say you are in section 8. Well, what if you went 2 sections north? So now you're off in some other township, and what would you be? Well, it goes 8, 5, and then what would this one be? Well, it would be the same as this one down here, believe it or not, because again, it just repeats. So section 31 would be here. The one we're missing would be section 32. This would be 33, 34, 35, 36. So they're going to ask you to use your imagination a little bit on occasion here, but I just wanted to give you a sneak preview of how that might happen. So that's our sections. And so again, if I were lost in, and they're going to blow up section 24 here. So we're going to kind of hone in and focus on section 24. If I was a hiker and I was lost here somewhere, I would be still, this is a 1 mile by 1 mile square. So I'd just be a little blip in that whole square. So we need to be a little bit more specific than that in order to actually locate a specific point. And that basically, if I were to do that, I could actually guide whoever's looking for me, if anyone, to actually find me and get very, very, very close and specific to where I would actually be. So what you're going to notice too, a couple of other things that are kind of written on this little handout is that each of the sections is 640 acres. So a 1 mile by 1 mile square of land, and this is everywhere on Earth. If you still if you know of a ranch somewhere or whatever, they usually measure that property in acres. And so each one of these is 640 of those acres. Okay, so now we're going to start playing around with, okay, if I'm lost in section 24, well, that's kind of still 1 mile by 1 mile is still pretty big. So what they do is they break that down into another set of boxes. They actually break section 24 down into a quadrant of 4 different boxes, and then they actually do it one more time. So we're going to answer some questions. That sounds a little bit weird right now. And the best way to learn that is actually to ask or answer questions about it. And notice though, it's still 1 mile by 1 mile. Okay, so they're taking that 1 by 1 section 24 and they're just zooming in a little bit more on it. So let's go up here and we're going to actually start answering these practice questions because then it'll all start to make sense. So the tract of land marked A in that figure would be designated as, well, where's A? This is A. Okay, well, we know we're in section 24. So the first part of any answer that when we're trying to figure out where something is, not only is that, actually, let's go back and say, all right, what township and range are we in? Well, I'll erase this one because we're not there. We are in Township 5N and R6E. So I'm going to start by writing that because that's going to be the same for every time we answer one of these questions. T, 5, N, R, and I said 6E. And so just don't forget that. And I'm actually going to move that over because we actually are going to learn to write from right to left here. We are in section 24 too. So section, they just shorten that to SEC. So section 24. That's where we are, but where is A? Well, A is in the upper left of section 24. So how did they figure that out? What do we do with that? Well, if you remember our compass rose, that's north, south. That is crooked. And this is west and east. Which box are we in? We are in, let me just use the highlighter here. We'll switch to purple. We're in, if this were kind of like that, we're kind of highlighting this. You're actually in the upper left box, which is the northwest box, the northwest quadrant of our little mini mile here, okay? So we are in the northwest, and that's the answer to this question. We're northwest in section 24, and we're in Township 5N, and we're in range 6E. All right, let's do the same for B. And we're gonna do some erasing here. Let's get rid of this. Now where's B? B. Well, B is now not even in, it's kind of a, it's in the corner of a different part of that box. So here's what I'm going to ask you first. Did we leave Township 5N and range 6E? No, we're still in all of that. We're still Township 5N, R6E, and we're also still in section 24. So all this is the same. So I'm going to write section 24. Oh, actually, I'm going to need some more room. I'll show you why in just a second. So this is section 24, T5N, R6E. All that's the same. And notice it gets kind of bigger as you go to the right. So section is smaller than a township, which is smaller than a range sort of thing. So that's where we're going with this. Now I need to figure out, well, where are we within section 24? That's going to be in that blank right there. So here we go. Now which box are we in? So I'm going to highlight that we are up here in this box, which if you threw the north, south, east, west over that, I could actually write north, south, west, and east. I could write that. We are in the upper right box, which is the northeast box. Okay, so that's going to be huge. So I'm going to write that down, just kind of down here for now. It's in the northeast. Here's what they do additionally. You're not going to believe this. They actually divide this again. So let me kind of do this, get rid of all these. They divide this upper right northeast box, they divide it down the middle one more time and across the middle like that. And which quadrant of that little box are we in? Again, it's northeast. So I'm going to, again, northeast, I'm going to write that here. And let's actually change the color of that. So the red northeast was the first the first division. So that's this one. And I have the ability to make that a straight line. So I'm going to try that again. And that way you're not confused. So when we first divided this, and again, it's a little crooked, but that's okay. That was the northeast. That's the number I just wrote. Now I'm going to divide it again. I'm going to use blue this time. So if I put a line right down the middle there and I'll divide it again, now which quadrant am I in? Well, I'm still northeast. So the blue division, I'm in the northeast of that blue little plus sign that I just did. Now I'm going to switch to green, and we're going to do one last division. And surprise, we're actually still in the northeast of the green one. Okay, so what we're going to write in just a second is the final answer here. And it's a little weird because they're all northeast because it's way up in the upper corner of this thing. And you'll see that that does change as we move on in our practice here. But we start little. So the little green one, we were in the northeast of that. So that's this one. Then we did we already had done the blue one. That's this one. We were in the northeast of that. And then the original red one that we did back here, we were also in the northeast on that one. So we're going to go ahead and write all of them in that order, just northeast, northeast, and I'm separating it with commas. So as you can see, I ran out of room. Northeast, 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 section 24, township 5N, R6E. That is the actual answer whenever you're locating a specific point. If you look down below here, we're going to do some of these in just a second. There's always 1, 2, 3 blanks. Then you have your section number, then your township, then your range, and you fill those out just like that. So we're going to do some more, and then it'll hopefully start to become a little bit more clear. Now, parcel A was just in question 1 here. That was a kind of a square within the square. And it wants to know how many acres that was. Well, we said that the whole section, any of these whole sections, 1, 2, 3, or in 24, they're all 640 acres. Well, what's 640 when you divide it into 4 equal parts? So how much is just A is what it's kind of asking. So if you do 640 divided by 4, you're going to get 160. So that's the answer to that question. As strange of a question as that sounds like it is, that's the simple answer. I'm going to get rid of some of that because we're going to need that to be clear. All right, so I don't know why that's not working. So 160 acres. Okay. And so now we're going to move on to question number 4. Give the section, town, and range designation of the section of land that lies directly east of section 1, township 5N, and R6E in the figure. Wow, that sounds pretty complicated, but if we just go to the one that they're telling us to, and we say whatever it is, the one that's to its east, directly east, we will get this answer. So we got to figure out what section, township, and range it is. So here we go. Down to this. Now that they're actually asking us, let's see here. They're asking us, here's section 1. We actually labeled that earlier. They want to know if you go east, so north, south, west, east, by 1 section. East, if you go east, that's this way, and you're going to go off the map, essentially. So we're supposed to guess what that is. Well, do you remember the pattern of the numbers? If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what would the next one over here be? Well, that would just be 1 again. So can you guess what the one that we're trying to figure out would be? Hopefully you're thinking, well, that would be a 6, because then if you had more boxes over here, you'd have 5, 4, 3, and so on. So it just repeats over and over, just like over here, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 again. So we have an answer now. we are in section 6. If we go one section to the east, like the question asks us to do, we are in section 6. Now, did we leave, so township 5 north, I'm going to draw a big purple squiggly line here. Township 5N is this. So if I go over here or over here, did I leave township 5N? And the answer is no. So I'm still in township 5N. I'm just in section 6 of it in a different section. But I did, if now let's do the same trick. Range 6E is like this. I have left range 6E. I'm now one more to the right. I'm now one more to the east of where I was. So what is that now? Well, if you look back at our first map, where would I be? Well, right now I'm in this box right here. I was in range 6E before, and then I went one more to the right or to the east. So I would just be in range 7. So this is township, still township 5N, but I went to R7E. Oops. So that's the answer I'm going to take up and put in the box. So if that is weird, try to go back and watch that part again and see if it makes more sense. We're going to do more questions like that, but I'm going to take my answer and I'm going to put it here as section 6. We're still in 5N, but we went to R7E because we went outside of range 6, which is this one. Okay, so that's a little bit weird of a question. Why they ask you to do that is not anything other than trying to get you to understand that pattern, that the boxes within a township and range, when they do the 1 through 36, they just repeat that over and over and over again. So we're about to do another one, and we will clear that up a little bit more. So that's the answer to that one. Let's do another one. Give the section, town, and range designation of the section that lies directly south of section 31 in the township and range that we were in, which is 5N 6E. So let's go to section 31, and then we're going to go south by 1. Where's section 31? Well, that is right here in the lower left. So if we go down to this section, again, outside the map, we don't know what it is yet. We're going to figure it out. If we're out there, well, where am I? Well, here's where you got to use the pattern again. It goes 6, 7, 18, 19, 30, 31. Well, what would be back here, down below, up right where the word note is? Well, it would repeat. So it's going to be section 6. Does that make sense? So I can write section 6. Weirdly enough, it's just a coincidence that the answer is the same there. But now, what did we do? We were in township 5N R6E. So I'm going to go with purple again. Township 5N goes across, and that's that everywhere. Everywhere in here is T5N. Notice my little red box that I just drew is outside. We went down by 1, down south by 1. So what do I do about that? Well, if we were T5N, what would be the one directly below that? Well, that would be T below south. We're going further south, but we're already north. So if you look at this, we were T5N. We went down to this guy right here. So we actually dropped to 4N in this case. Now that's because we were already north. If I was down here, if I was in T5S, somewhere down here, and I went down, that would be T6S. But since we were already north of our baseline, all that goes out the window. You got to be very aware of where you are. You're in 5N. If you go south, you're going to go 4N, 3N, 2N, 1N, and then eventually you'll hit the baseline. And then you'll start going up again, 1S, 2S, 3S, 4S. So it's kind of like latitude and longitude. You got to just kind of pay attention to where you are and not get yourself confused. So we went down to T4N is the end result of all that. So this is T4N. N. So that's going to be what I put up here in red, T4N. Now range, did we leave, let's now look at what range. We were in 6E. We got to get rid of all this extra ink here. We were in 6E, which is here to here. And my little red box, we went down by 1, so that was right here. Did we leave 6E? And the answer is no. So we're actually still in range 6E. So we can take that and put it here. All right. So now we're going to do that process of locating some of these weird points on our little diagram over and over again until we sort of understand it. So basically what it's going to ask, we've got letters C, D, E, and F. So we're going to find letter C and we're going to give the full coordinates. Now it already tells us we're in section 24, T5, and R60. That's not going to change for any of them because we are now going back to our square that we originally were in. So that's in section 24. That's right here. Okay, so we're staying in that one now. So we're staying here and we're staying here. We're staying in T5N, R6E, and we're staying in section 24. The next letter though is C, which is right there. Okay, so C is right here. So let's do our divisions. Division number 1. Where are we? So if I split that and highlight in purple, we're here. That means we are in the northwest quadrant. Okay, so in red, I'm going to write northwest. So remember, we always have 3 blanks to fill in, and they get big. As you go to the right, this is the smallest, and then they get largest as you go to the right. So when you're actually writing these out, you follow a consistent format. Okay, so the first one is northwest. Then I'm going to start changing color here. We divide one more time. And we are now where? Let me get rid of the purple shade and we'll try it again. Well, where are we now? We're in, C is down in the lower right, which is the southeast quadrant. So in blue, that is south, or I'm sorry, yeah, southeast, southeast. Okay, one more division in green. Now we split it and split it again. Now it's mostly in that lower right one again. So we're going to call that southeast again. So the final answer there, you're going to write is SE, SE, and W in that order. So go up here and write SE, SE, and W. So there's your full coordinates. Let's do D. And again, I'll wipe this clear. Okay, we're ready to go. First division is that one again, so red. And D is down now here. So D is down here, which is now, we're first one time we've had this one, it's southwest. So I'm going to write southwest, largest one. And we're going to have 2 more blanks. I'm going right to left here, so we keep the order good. And so let's do our second division in blue like we have been. That was a bad division. Let me try that again. You really want to use center as best as you can, and I'm kind of going too fast there. So now if you do the purple highlight, you're in the lower right corner. So that's this, which would be southeast. And then we're going to switch to green, and we're going to do one more division. And I'm going to erase the purple one more time here, just to be consistent. We're going to divide that down like that one more time. So now, once more, and it's a really little tiny box, that little D is in the southeast part. So here's your new set of coordinates for location D. So it should be SE, SE, SW. So in red up here, we'll do that. Southeast, southeast, southwest. Yeah, sorry, I sometimes forget what I wrote. Okay, let's do part E, or letter E rather. So get rid of all that. And we'll do a red division. So Which one are we doing? E? Yeah. E is right here. If you can't see it, that's kind of small. But the first division puts E in this area. So that's actually, again, southeast. So southeast. Now we'll do our blue one. And they actually already did it for us. So I can just trace their lines. That's nice of them. So now where are we? Well, we are in the upper right one of the blue. So that's northwest. Then we'll do a green one. And divide it one last time here. And so, carefully doing this, we're now in the upper right of that little green cross. So we're in the northeast. So NENW SE. NENW SE. Got it. Okay. So we have one more, and that is F. So let's erase out everything. And F, kind of on the line here. So still not too, forgot those when I tried reset that. So in the red division, we are in the upper right. So that's northeast, NE. And then we're going to divide into blue. Let me get rid of the purple. So let's divide her right down the middle there. Now that's a close call. F is kind of right near that line, but good enough that we can call it the lower left corner there. So that's southwest. Then we're going to switch to green. Do one more division. So little guy there is in the lower right, which is this one. So that's southeast. So that if you were lost at point F, I mean, you're now narrowed down to, so this would be a half a mile, then it's you're within a quarter of a mile by a quarter of a mile. That is pretty small, and small enough where if they kind of knew that that's the general area that you were in, they'd find you because they could only go so far before they would be outside that little purple dot right there. So that's our final answer for this question. So SESWNE. And I'm hoping I said that right. SESWSWNE. Okay, so that's the gist of how to use it based on this exaggerated and simplified diagram. Now we're going to switch it up a little bit, and we're going to have to bounce back and forth. You're going to need your Pingree Park map, the one that you probably have downloaded to do some other practice here. And we're going to show you how to actually read out rectangular coordinates for an official USGS map. So switch over to that map or pull that up or wherever you have it, kind of get it handy. And all I have to do is kind of click over to it. So I'm going to do that. But the first question it's going to ask is write out the full location for this TP, which is a campground symbol for the Tom Bennett campground. So I'm about to help you out with that. And I'll show you how to read these maps with that in mind. So let's bounce over to that map. It's Pingree Park. So here it is. And you know, these are big and they take a minute to load and you have to scroll around a lot, but I want you to take a look first in general at what we're seeing here. I think I talked about these section numbers already, but now you can really see that they're really important actually, and they're in red, which makes it super easy to see and spot on these maps. So here's section 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Notice it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like we said. That's exactly what we saw in our little example. So we're looking for this campground. It's in section 16. So you know what you're going to see on these maps is there are several different section 16s. So if I scroll around, you're going to see probably more than one. Let me find another one. Well, we might have gotten lucky that there's only one showing it. There should be another one down below, but they stopped doing the coordinates there because it got too steep. So this is the only section 16, so it's going to be in there. And if you look very closely, there's your Tom Bennett campground. And so what it's going to want is that little TP symbol that you see right there. They're going to want the actual coordinates. So I'm going to put a blue dot there for now. But first of all, where are we? We are in section 16, but what township and what range are we in? And this is where the maps are really great. They're super helpful. If you look on the right or on the top, you're going to see the township and range divisions. So there's T7N and T8N. And if we scroll down a little bit more, here's the dividing line between T7 and T6. So what I'm going to do is zoom way out and show you that everything between where we just looked, this is all, oops, I went not far enough. All of this, that's your township. So it's a really, there's your township, and each little box in there are your sections. So that whole thing is all T7N. Everything in this blue squiggle, that's township 7N. If I go above that, up here, that's T8N. If I go below that, uh-oh, it won't let me erase. Don't know why. Oh, it did it. Everything below that. So we were in 7. This would be T6. Okay, so those are your townships. Now the ranges are also printed on the edges of the map. So here's a range indicator. And so what you need to do is kind of follow that up. So you see how the line is a little bit darker? And so get rid of all that too. Okay, so, and again, up at the top of the map, you'll see them reprint it for you. It'll sometimes be in the map, sometimes it'll be on the edge, but look around for the red writing and you'll be okay. So what they're saying is these are west ranges, so 72 and 73. So this is everything. Let me just kind of zoom out here. This is all 72. And let's see, all this, everything else, actually, everything on this side, this is all 73W. Make sense? So that's how we're going to use, and by the way, that already answered our part of our question about that campground. So where are we? Well, in the red, we're in 73. This is 73W for the range. And our township, we just said all, let's erase some stuff. All of this, zooming way out now, all of this was township 7 north. So all of that is 7N. So we already know the answer to that. So T7N, we already got those. And we also know that it's in section 16. So section 16. So now we're going to do our little trick. I'll just move all these. These are parts of my answer that I'm going to transfer. Grab too much there. So I'm just going to get that out of the way though, so we can do our subdivisions like we did before. So let's just move this over here. And now we're going to get more specific. So zooming in, you can use a straight edge if you really want to, but I'm going to do the same old thing, the red division first. And you want to go right between the numbers on the 16, right down the middle. Makes sense? And you want it to be as straight up and down as you can make it. Okay, so that's my first division. And then right across the number for the horizontal, that's a little harder for me to draw, but I'll do it. Bam, not too bad, not too bad. So there's your first division. Well, where, again, purple, where are we? That is, if we used our good old fashioned compass directions, north, south, and west and east, y'all see that's northwest, right? So I'm gonna actually do a separate little compass rose over here, and SWE. That way we can reference that. So if now I know three of the 6 coordinates. I got section 16 T7N R73W. I now know that I'm in the northwest, NW. And then we said we'd use blue, if I recall. So we'll split this little box down the middle here. Again, you got to try to find the center point as best as you can. So there's my second division. And where am I now? We're in the lower left. So that's southwest. So southwest. Now we're going to do one more division. And I think we did green, which is probably not the best color for this map, but here it is. And so where are we? We are in that little box right there, which is the lower left. And I think I lost my W over here. So we are in the southwest. So our final coordinate there would be southwest. So our three blanks are in that order: SW, SW, NW, and that goes from small to large. And as you go even further, I'll show you in a second, the section is even bigger than all of that. And then the township and range are the largest things that we talk about on these. Okay, so I'm going to erase that. So it's southwest, southwest, northwest, southwest, southwest, northwest. So watch that. I'm going to switch over to our document and write all that in. So southwest, southwest, and wouldn't you know, I forgot already. I think it was northwest. Section 16, Township 7N, R6W. Oh boy, this is why you got to be careful. So we are in southwest, southwest, northwest. I got that right. We're in Township 7 North and range 73W, 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 not 6. 73W. Wow. Okay. All right. Oof. Now we're going to go backwards and we're going to use these coordinates, and we're going to kind of use that to go backwards and find out some information about the maximum elevation. So we are going to go to section 21. Now we're in the same township and range as we were for the question we just did. So all that's the same. So we know roughly where we're going to be, but we've got to do southwest, northeast, northeast. So keep that in mind, and I'll switch over to the map. Southwest, southwest, northeast, I think is what they said, right? I've got my paper here to make sure I don't screw that up. Yep, southwest, northeast, northeast, southwest, northeast, northeast. So that's what we're going to find. So we are going to figure out the elevation now, and we're supposed to find section 21. So let's do that. Let's get rid of all this. Okay, where is section 21? Look around, 25, 30, yep, there it is. So that is the one that we're interested in, and we're going to find the maximum elevation, but we've got to narrow it down to where we're using those little coordinates that we said. So let's do the division. The first division that we typically do is the red one. So I'm sticking with red, and we're going to divide that right down the middle. And we're going to divide that right across the middle. And we want to find the northeast corner of that. No, I'm sorry, northeast corner of that. So that's this one. So we're going to be up here, and it wants the max. You can already see where this is going, but we're looking in that one. And then, so we're going to do the next division in blue. And then that was supposed to be north, southwest, northeast, northeast. So we're going to use the northeast one on that again. So that's up here. Okay. And then the last one says southwest. So that's where we did the green division. And if we do that, you can see right where we ended up. And look at that. The map actually has a closed circular contour there, and it also has a benchmark, thank goodness, right? And it actually gave us the max elevation of that place. Now we couldn't estimate what the highest possible would be, but I'm just going to go with, hey, this is reality, we already know. So it's 9,380 feet. So that's pretty tall, by the way. So that's the answer, 9,380. So we'll go back and we'll pop that into the answer. 9380. 9380. And that's in feet. They're always in feet. And I'm trying to stay consistent. 9380 feet. All right. Are you ready to do the next one? This is more traditional where you just write out the coordinates. So we're looking for Roosevelt National Forest, literally the words, because there's really so little to look for on this map. They're just asking us to go find the words and then find the letter L. So we're looking for the L in national, and we're going to find that on the map here. And we're going to map it completely out, full coordinates. So here we go. The L in national. So when you back out and zoom out, you can see those words much easier. It says Roosevelt National Forest, and we want the L in national. So I'm going to use a red dot here. So we kind of go right in the center of that L. That's what we're trying to find the full coordinates of. And so where are we in terms of townships and ranges, I guess is the question. So again, all of this was T7N, and all of this was R73W. So we're not really changing anything. We're really close to where we've been in the last couple of questions. So that part's easy, but we are in section 15 for sure. That's going to be new. So keep that in mind. So we're in section 15. I'm going to write section 15 T7N, and we are finding the question here, R73W. So that's going to be important for the answer. So now we're going to fill in our 3 blanks like we always do. So let's do that. First division, down the middle. So we are in, north, south, west, east. We're kind of in the upper left. So that's this one. And I accidentally switched to red highlighter. So let's get rid of that. So we're in the upper left. So that's northwest. That's our first division, NW. And then we're going to, too much. Then we're going to divide again. And I think we use blue right down the middle. And we're right on the line, but if you're centered, it should be below. So we're actually down here and down here. So that's southwest. And then we're going to divide one more time in green. Be careful of my erasing now. Actually, I'll just go ahead and do it so I don't ruin anything. So we're going to divide one more time. And so we're now in the upper right, which is northeast. So green division, northeast. So here's your full coordinates for that particular question. So NESWNW, section 15, township 7NR73. Oops. So if we go over to that, write it all out in red this time. So we're going to go NE, SW, NW. And then section 15, T7N, R73W. So look at us go. We're nearly there. 15, 7, and 73. Just double checking everything. That should work. Now we're going to do the letter N in the word national. So you've got one more to find, and I will delete all of this because we're going somewhere else. Okay. So the word national is right here. And actually, we're going back to where we were before, which is right there. I just made a little red dot. We're going to go a little faster so we can speed this up and make it not be an hour and a half long. So there's your first division. And I think we're kind of getting the gist of this. We're in the northwest. One more division in blue. Kind of on the line again, really on the line. Actually, it's, I wonder if I might actually disagree with my answer key sometimes on some of these. No, I don't. So where are we? Well, the first red division was northwest. And yeah, I do have a key arrow. Look at that. It is northwest. And then we're going to divide blue. So then we're in the southeast. So this guy right here is southwest. And then you divide one more time. We'll divide it in green. Oops, not the highlighter. So we're in the upper right there of that one. So let me go ahead and backtrack here. I was kind of caught off guard by how wrong my answer key was on this. So we were for the first division was northwest. The second division, the blue square or the blue plus sign, we were in the lower left, which is southwest. And then, and you know what? I think I know what I did. I think I'm a little off. So I'm going to just shift that blue crossover a little bit. We'll try that one more time because that is critical. If you're not centered, you disagree with my key. And I promise you, I won't make you be that nitty gritty with it. But if you divide this down the middle, it's really close, isn't it? Right on the line. So you could kind of call it either, I guess, is the final answer here. I wouldn't be so mad at you if you wrote. And if you center yourself on the end, it's probably right about there. So it's literally at the vertex of that plus sign. So anyway, we are northwest in red. Blue, I'm still going to go with southwest, even though it was a close call. I did it again. I like my answer better this time. And then you divide it in green, centered. This one's much easier. This is northeast. Okay, so hopefully that makes some sense. It's a little wonky because it's so close to the line. And we are in section 16 again, if I didn't mention that. So section 16. And it's still Township 7 North, range 73W. So let's go back and pop those answers in red. So in order, it went northeast. And it went, I think I said southwest. Oops. And then we said northeast or northwest. And that's section 16, 7N, 73W. Okay. All right, let's go hunting. We are going to go for hunting for a coordinate, and it's 7N. This one's in 72W, so keep that in mind. And we're looking for section 31, and then it's southwest, northeast, northwest. So let's go take a look for that. Remember how I said it was in 72W? That is going to be very, very important because if you remember, the ranges were divided right there. So basically, if I come back out to this zoom level, so all of this over here on this side, this is 72W. This is 73W. Okay. And if we go further over here, this would be 74W and so on. So let's find section 31, and it's still in Township 7N. So we've got to keep that in mind. So still going to be above where we were before in terms of township. So that's down here. So we're looking for 31. And as it happens, it's right at the lower right here. So there it is. So it's asking us to find what is located in that section, that township, that range, 72W. And we've got to divide. And if you're looking at your worksheet thing, your handout along with this, we're going to divide it right down the middle. And this is a wonky box, but you're still going right through the center of the number. You have to do that. And so again, this section would be a little wider if we had more map, okay? So still go through the center of the number and then just go across. And it's asking us we want to go in that first division, we want to go to the southwest part of it, which is here. Go back to purple. So we're going to be down there. Then in our blue division, it wants us to, let me divide that out. It wants us to be northeast east, so that's going to be up here. And then we're finally going to divide it in one more time with green like we've been. So now it wants us to go of that little tiny green subdivision, it wants us to go to the northwest. So that's right here. So let me get rid of all this other stuff and what's in basically in purple right here. So I'll erase this and this and this and this and this and this. And look at where we are. We are at Signal Mountain. So the answer to the question is a giant mountain. Why they call it Signal Mountain, I would imagine there might be something on the top of it with maybe a light on it or something. So it's Signal Mountain. All right, maximum elevation of Sugarloaf Mountain. Well, that's a question that has nothing to do with rectangular survey system, but hey, why not? So the question is about Sugarloaf Mountain. We got to find Sugarloaf Mountain. So that's where you kind of got to look around. It should, I wish it had given us some more information, but I actually happen to know it's down here, so I'll save you all the time. The answer is very, very high up in the air. So we're in some serious Rocky Mountains right now. This is obviously Colorado. So Sugarloaf Mountain is here. What it wants to know is, this is an old school question that goes back to no more part one. If you're in the very top of Sugarloaf Mountain, what is the maximum possible elevation you can ever have right there? So to answer that question, I need to thin out my marker a little bit here, and then we're going to try to figure out what these contours are. And all these maps for Colorado are in 40-foot contour intervals. So we've luckily got an index contour right there called 12,000. The next one up would be 12,040. That's not there yet, so we need to keep going. This one, I'm going to write out a room, is 12,080. Adding 40 more. Now, we're still not there yet. We got one more circular contour to figure out the elevation of, so that's this one. So let's add 40 to 12,080, 890, 12,100, 1020. So this is 12,120 feet. Okay. Now, if you're in here, you get a, if we were to go up to the next contour, if we had another contour inside that little contour, and I'm going to use brown, and we're going to write really small. If you had another little line in there, what would that one be? Well, you would add 40 to 12,120. And that's, I'll tell you again, and we'll review why I just did that in a second, but that would be 12,160, right? 12,160. Well, we can't hit 12,160 because if we did, you'd have another contour line in there, right? But there isn't one. So what's the highest you can go in whole feet without actually hitting 12,160? Well, there's your answer. That is 12,159. So if I were here at that X, the maximum possible elevation is 12,159. Okay, that's how you do that. So let's pop that answer back into this document, 12,159. And we will be just about done here. And that's in feet. So I hope that was fun for you. Those are sometimes really hard questions on these maps because you can't see what contours are what. Let's look at some compass directions for creek flow. So that's going to be fun too. We're on Pingree Park still, so let me go back there. And I think the first one was Fish Creek. So let's find Fish Creek. And I will save us from erasing that. Find Fish Creek. Where are you? So it's going to be one of these little blue lines, and it should have some blue letters on it. And there it is. So here's Fish Creek. So there are two ways to do this. One, look, just kind of, here's your creek, right? Look at the elevations over here and just go randomly over here and look at these elevations and figure it out. These are 8,200 something, 8,000-ish. And over here, they're in the 9,000. So I'm going to guess just right away that this creek flows that way, whatever that way is. Or if you look at just general, it's kind of going that way. So I'm guessing it's going to be east to northeast a little bit, maybe. So I'll keep that in mind, but I'm going to show you one more way to figure it out without doing what I just did, which is I think it's the cheap way out, but it's okay. Back in mapping part 1, I taught you that the contours, I would have write a little bit smaller than that, I guess. The contours make V shapes as they cross the stream like that. And there's another one there and another one there. So no matter where you look, they're always pointing that way. And the creek flows in the opposite direction of those little V-shaped points. So it's telling me the same thing, that this creek is flowing north, south, west, east. It's flowing mostly to the east, but a little bit to the north. So you could write northeast. You could write, maybe it's more east than north, so you could write east, northeast. I would say that's possibly either of those I would accept for that. So I'm going to write east, northeast. We'll do the same for Beaver Creek, which I think is in the upper right. Yes. So it's right. This one's right above where we just were. Get rid of all this, and we'll take a look at that one. And it looks like it's probably going to be doing about the same thing. Again, looking at elevations, 8,600 there, 8,400 there, 8,200 there. So it's generally going down as you go towards the east. So that means the creek is going to flow down or downhill. So to verify that, take a look at those little contours. Again, they are making a V shape that points that way. So it's kind of going, again, mostly, I'm going to put that back to normal here, mostly to the right, which is east, or sorry, yeah, east, I'm sorry. But it's kind of going, if you look at the whole flow of the creek, it's doing this. I mean, I don't know, you could call it just, you could call it east, you could call it east-southeast maybe. But it kind of goes back up. So I would just say maybe just east. That's good enough. So you don't have to go too crazy on that. So east or east, northeast again. So that's it. That's the rectangular survey system of locating points, but also you got a couple of little review questions there, which are good because you'll be doing that on your MAPS lab test. So hopefully that wasn't too bad. I know it was a little long, but it is a cool little old school system that's probably been outdated severely by our modern technology.